Hi there, I'm writer Elena Passarello, and this is Open Book, a literary podcast from Livewire Radio brought to you by Powell's Books, where we talk to writers about their reading habits. When I'm not having fun as Livewire's announcer, writing is my job. I'm the author of 2 nonfiction books. I'm currently writing a 3rd, and outside my own writing projects, I teach writing in an MFA program here in Oregon. So all of this is to say that books are, without exaggeration, my whole life. If you come stay at my house, you need to know that the guest bed is just a futon resting on top of a few dozen Joan Didion hardbacks. Just a FYI. This week, we're talking to writer Scaachi Koul. She's a senior writer at Slate, where she writes about everything from the sexual and gender politics of the Girls Gone Wild franchise to some really solid advice for J-Lo about what she should do post-Bennifer 2.0. She's also the co-host of the Ambie Award-winning podcast Scamfluencers and the Emmy-nominated Netflix series Follow This. She is also incredibly good at naming books. Her best-selling debut, One Day We'll All Be Dead and None of This Will Matter, was the New York Times editor's choice. She also has her own Substack called Hater Nation. Her latest collection of essays, Sucker Punch, examines what happens when the life you thought you'd be living radically changes course. I honestly had kind of a tough time talking to Scaachi just because I was laughing so hard it was difficult to keep my microphone steady. She's got this lightning quick wit, and it was such a blast to share book tour horror stories with her. Stay tuned if you want to hear about the greatest humiliation I ever sustained in a book signing line. Okay, let's get to it. This is Scaachi Koul on Open Book. Scaachi, welcome to Open Book.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, my first question. Do you set reading goals for yourself?
Every year I say I'm going to read a book a week.
What?
Every year I say I'm going to do it, and I never do it. I get into the 30s.
So that's like maybe 2 books a month, maybe.
Yeah. I get into the mid 30s.
Or 3.
There's just always like a month or 2 where I can't read.
Yeah.
Like something happens. This year it's been January, February, and March that I have been completely incapable of reading. I don't know. I feel like maybe there was an election that made things a little challenging for me cognitively. But I always have goals. I write every book down that I read. I write down lists of books I want to read in my notebook. Like I'm actually kind of fastidious about it. I'm just negligent.
What's on your list right now? Once you get back into the swing of things?
I have to read Omar's book, Omar Elakat, he won the
Giller Prize-winning author,
Prize-winning
Omar
author.
Elakat.
Yeah, but I have to read his latest book. I have Martyr also sitting on my bedside table that I have to read.
Akbar, yeah.
And then there's another book, and I can't remember the name of it, but the cover is like an Excel spreadsheet with like an old Indian drawing on it. What is it called? Something. It's going to come to me in like a fever dream, but it's like in the window everywhere. I need to read it.
Like a novel? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2 novels and a nonfiction book.
Yeah. I mostly read fiction.
Huh. Why do you think that is?
Because I write nonfiction and I don't want to hear anybody else do it. I already have to do it so much. Like, I already deal so often in reality. I'm tired and I'm really open to hearing someone lie to me for 400 pages.
So reading for you, or at least this kind of list-based reading, maybe that you're setting your goals around, a majority of it or a significant portion of it is something that's running counter to the work that you're doing as a writer.
Yeah. It took me like years to read that G.D. Sackler book because I was like, I know it's good.
Yeah.
I can't do it. Like what is it going to tell me? Everything bad? I know.
Yes.
So that stuff I find genuinely challenging because I have to read nonfiction all day. I read the news and I read court reports and transcripts. And so by that point, I'm pretty fried. I grew up reading a lot of fiction. My mom's a big reader. Like that was just how, we did leisure time. So I still like reading, but I get tired.
Do you remember a book that your mother read when you were young? Your mother is a prominent part of this new fantastic book, Sucker Punch. Do you remember her reading a book and then you reading it, either stealing it from her sharing it with you, something in that?
Yeah. When I was like 12, she read A Fine Balance. So then I read A Fine Balance. And that book is hard to read.
Yes. Mystery?
Mystery. Yeah. Rohinton Mystery. Yeah, I attempted that and did not understand a word of it. It was like during a phase of my life where I was kind of stealing books from a lot of people that I knew and reading them and was not equipped to read them. Like I took A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius, which is Dave Eggers' book, and I wrote about that in Sucker Punch. That was my brother's copy, took it from him, tried to read it, had no idea what I was reading, really liked it, didn't know why.
That came out like 2000 maybe, 2001?
Yeah, so 2001 I was 10.
Huh? Because your brother, as we learn in the memoir, is older.
He's 12 years older than me.
12 years older. So
he had actually received the book because he just graduated law school. And so he's reading it as this like kind of semi-new adult in the world. And I'm like, I know, I'm going to read it. This book
10.
that is like inexplicable, even if you have an adult brain. It has like two beginnings. It's dual-sided. There's cartoons. It's really graphic. It's bizarre.
Yes.
This was my formative
That's how you started.
experience.
I feel like the beginning of it is like just a budget for the whole book.
Yeah,
Isn't
there's so much like weird publishing stuff in there. And the thing I remember most viscerally is how much he describes the bile coming out of his mom's body.
Right, because his mother,
I remember, she has cancer.
That's
in the
right.
book. That's how it starts, is she's sick. And I so distinctly remember reading that and being like, oh, cool. That's so cool. I want to do that.
Cool that he described it.
It was just, I liked the way he wrote it down.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that could be a job. Like your job is that you just write how bilious people are. That sounds amazing. Yeah. I'm still waiting for that job. I kind of have it, but in a different way.
But that's interesting. You know what? I think writers learn maybe to be writers based on the way that they learn about reading or the way that they develop as readers. And
I don't trust writers who say they don't read.
No.
I think that's very ooky spooky.
No. I mean, how would you know how to do it?
There are a lot of them who don't read.
Wow. I mean, except for January, February, March of this year, which
Other
everyone
than
gets a
those 3
pass.
months of this year, which I think we all get a free pass.
Yes, you can do whatever you
I'm
want.
a pretty good reader. But in those 3 months, I didn't read fiction. I read every news report and article, and again, like court transcript, deposition record, interview transcript. So I was doing reading. It just sucked. It's the worst kind. Yeah. And that reading is dispiriting. And then when you crack open a book, you're like, well, my brain is soft, and now I don't have room for this thing that I want to read.
Yeah. Do you switch mediums like tech, like phone, ebook, print book, in order to make that escape happen?
I only read books.
Paper
books. I don't have an e-reader. I don't read the iPad. I sometimes subscribe to certain magazines, or I will buy them if there's a big article that I want to read. I don't like reading on the internet, which is unfortunate because I only work for websites.
Noted Slate.
Yeah. Noted internet writer does not like reading on the internet. I will, but I like books. I like carrying one around. I like dropping it in the pool. I like having to dry it out later. I like giving them away. I don't take care of my books. I'm not protective over them except for maybe 5 or 6 of them. And I'm happy to loan them out. I think people who are defensive about their books are weird. That said, if someone dog ears a book from me, death penalty.
That's what I was going to ask.
We're never speaking again.
So you don't dog ear your own books?
No.
And if you lend a book, it better come back undog.
I don't even care if it comes back. It's not about that. I'm offended that you would do it. Like, I'm offended by the decision-making to dog-ear the book. You can burn the book. I don't really care what happens to it. I'm offended by the fact that you couldn't find a receipt.
Or like the do not disturb sign of the hotel.
Or just remember the page number. What do you mean? Like, how many books could you be reading that you don't know loosely where you are?
I did that when I was reading your book this week.
Dog-eared it?
No, I remembered page 33. I was like, oh, Jesus' death year. That's where I need to come back to Scaachi's book.
Yeah, great. See?
Do you not write in your books?
No. No, I also think that's weird. I didn't know. I get mad when I buy a book that's used and someone has written notes in there. I'm like, I didn't ask for you. Like, who are you, Trevor? Like 1999 Trevor, $2 at whatever vintage store that I popped into. I don't like that either.
This is a terrible story that has nothing to do with you, so I'm going to tell it. But I've written 2 books, and my first book, somebody brought me to a signing. They said, well, I got this used. Is it okay if you still sign it? I said, fine. And I opened it up, and the person who had read it before wrote on the part 1 page, overall disappointing.
That is so funny.
So the second person who bought it was just mortified. I took like 1 million pictures of it. I was like, this is the best day of my life.
That's so funny.
Yeah. So what would you do if somebody brought you back a book that said overall disappointing in it? That was
People
yours?
are happy to tell me that they don't like my writing. So, okay, like what's the difference between a ghost in a book saying it and like some lady telling me to my face?
Okay, what about the 5? There are 5 books that you care very deeply about, you said, that you will not loan out or that are not, they're precious.
I still have my brother's copy of A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius. I will not give that to anybody. I have a signed first edition of that book as well.
Whoa.
That I don't know what to do with, but I probably wouldn't loan it either. I don't loan out any of the books that I read when I was really young. So I have a bunch of David Sedaris's that I got from like Costco when I was 13. Because that's how I found out about him, because Costco started selling Sedaris books en masse.
Good on
in like
them.
2004 in Canada. So they had all of them. And then I have Jon Stewart wrote a book called Naked Pictures of Famous People that I read 400 times when I was a kid. It's like a comedy book, but I couldn't stop reading it. Won't loan that out. I have my brother's original copy of Sign Language, which is Jerry Seinfeld's book.
Oh.
Terrible. It's not good. It's not funny. It's like deeply terrible. But I can't, like, it's just this little wretched paperback that like would melt, I think, if it exited my possession. It's probably like some sort of cursed Horcrux. I haven't decided yet.
But you can't.
But I can't. It's not even like, oh, the book's like super important. It's like, what will happen to the recipient?
So it's for the sake of other people.
Yeah, I want to protect strangers from whatever these books are.
But would you say that's kind of your sentimental education as the person now who has these books and this podcast and this short form writing career, reading these like essays like David Sedaris and these kind of, I don't know what you would call the memoir, kind of like, I think they used to call it back in the day, David Eggers, they called him.
Confessional?
No, gosh, what is hysterical realism was what they called like him.
That's what
and
they were
Zadie's,
saying?
Yeah, because, magic realism was,
Jesus.
the Gabriel Garcia Marquez. But this idea of kind of like being super confessional, but also being really experimental.
Weird.
And does that feel like a part of, or do you see that kind of lineage in the work that you produce now?
I mean, like I had the tastes of a 27-year-old white guy who like dropped out of Brown. I don't know what was going on with me in my preteen years. A babysitter perhaps could have solved this for me instead of me being left alone for so long. But I mean, that's how I learned how to write, is I read all this stuff and I was like, this is funny. Oh, these people are writing about their families? Cool. Like I also loved reading Jhumpa Lahiri. I won't give those books out either. Because those books were, I mean, not quite how I write, but she was talking about these family dynamics that I recognized so much. So did David Sedaris. So did David Rakoff. His books I won't loan out.
Me too.
Like, he's one of my favorite writers. Like, there was something there that was, like, crackly to me that I liked. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I can mimic it.
I like that crackly. It's like setting off the pop rocks in your
there's
soul.
something, like, effervescent about the way that they were writing that was different than a lot of the other kind of confessional work I had read. Or work that is confessional but pretending to be fiction, which is the thing that a lot of books kind of do. Harper does that, which I write about in Sucker Punch.
Nora
Harper,
Ephron.
She's pretending that's fiction. It's not. That's what happened.
Right.
That's what he did to her.
Yeah.
So whether she threw a cake on him or not, I don't know. Probably worse. But yeah, I recognized it.
Mm-hmm. Have you not felt compelled to put that mask on? Do you think that's a generational thing?
For fiction?
Yeah.
I'm just not good at it.
Yeah.
I think anybody would read it and be like, who's this little performance for? What's the point?
Right.
Yeah.
Better to just kind of tell the story as you would tell the story.
Yeah, it would just be disingenuous.
As yourself. So, okay, back to reading. So we know all about your past. What's in the future for you as a reader? Like once you're done with your book tour, you're on tour right now. Let's say you get like 96 hours off and you're somewhere cool, like really relaxing. What are you bringing with you?
I always like to read a book about a family in disarray.
when you're relaxing.
That's like my favorite thing to read.
Nice.
So like if I can, I remember going on vacation. I think I went to Cuba for like 4 days and I brought, I think all of Franzen's books because I just hadn't read any of them. Like I brought like 3 or 4.
That's a big suitcase.
Yeah, I read all of them. I'm a fast reader. Once I'm going to read it. And I sat there and read it, and I was with my ex, and he was like, this is what you want to read on vacation? I'm like, yeah, I love it. Look at these white people. They can't get it together. I love it so much. But that's my favorite thing. Like, families in chaos.
Multiple characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like a multi-generational arc. Not a lot of people pull it off, but I still like reading it.
It is like, it's this, you get this thing that you can never get in real life, which is like the dollhouse. You can see every room in the house, and then they get so kind of intimate, like the corrections is like that.
That's such a good book. And I mean, that's really good too, because it's fun to read those books and then like grow empathetic towards different characters as you're reading it and less empathetic towards others.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. That's the kind of writing I wish I could do.
Yeah.
And I can't, but I wish I could.
One thing that you are amazing, I think you could probably do it, but
that's nice of you to say.
I think you are already amazing at titles. Do you have a book title that you're like, game, recognized game? That's a really good one.
Yeah, there is a book by a Canadian writer, Anna Meller-Paperney, I think is her name, and it's called Hello, I Want to Die, Please Fix Me, which I think is, it's a book about suicidal ideation and depression, but what a good title.
Yes.
What a good title.
Did you have any pushback or anything about your first book? I want to make sure I get this title perfectly right. One day we'll all be dead and none of this will matter. Did that sail through?
Yeah. I mean, that was the subtitle of the book for a long time. So it was originally going to be called, I can't even remember, something very different. And then while we were working on it, I was like, I don't think this makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. And so we changed it and nobody fought me on it. And then the second title, I could not think of what Sucker Punch needed to be called. It was called all these different things. For a long time, I was calling it I Hope Lightning Falls on You, which is like a rough translation of an insult my mom always says to us, and has said to us since we were kids. It didn't make sense as I was trying to get through the book. And then my book editor's husband came up with the title, which filled me with rage that my friend's loser husband is the one who came out. And he's never going to let me forget it. He brings it up all the time. I want him dead. It sucks. Anybody else? It could have been my ex-husband. He could have emailed me directly and been like, what about Sucker Punch? That would have been less offensive
would have been better than
Michael Goldless. God.
The next book I think is going to be called Suck It, Michael Goldless. I think that might be
eat shit, Mike. That's book 3.
I was very excited to ask you this question, Scaachi. Are you an acknowledgement section reader,
Always.
even if you don't know the author?
It's the first thing I read. I'm serious.
What
That's
are we
always
looking for? I am too. I love to.
I like to see if I recognize anybody, because that's when you're a writer, you get the privilege of being like, oh, they know that guy? Everybody knows that guy. Or, they know that guy? That guy sucks. So I love reading the acknowledgements. And I love seeing how much people like each other or don't.
Every once in a while, there's an acknowledgement section where you feel like some of those thank yous are pretty forced.
Like they're being held hostage to say thank you.
It's
and
gratitude to.
Yeah.
And you're like,
My thanks. My thanks. Oof,
no.
Yikes.
No adjectives. No subject to
that
the
person must have
sentence.
really hurt you.
Or then there are the acknowledgements that are just 100 pages long.
Too effusive.
Yeah. It's hard to, but it's hard when you want to acknowledge people for helping you with your books.
You just got to, it's a list of names. Keep it moving.
It's but I turned to it first as well. I feel like it's kind of like when you go on social media, when you look at someone's account to see who else they're friends with. It's like an opportunity to kind of get excited by their followers or who they're following.
Yeah.
What about the difference between an acknowledgement section of one's first book versus an acknowledgements question of one's second book?
I hope somebody somewhere who is sick, a mentally ill person, compares who I thanked in my first book and my second. I'm open to hearing that.
Well, it is a book about a change, like a major change between the first and the second.
Yeah, and there's some people who didn't make it. You'll notice. And there's several people who have not made it to book 3 whenever that comes out already. We're already seeing how they won't make it. Good to know.
You could just text them, you're out of the acknowledgement section.
They know. We don't. It's everybody accepts fate.
Okay, last question. This is the last question every time we do this podcast. Okay. We would love to hear, if you have one, a controversial book opinion.
I think the pages in the Bible are too thin. And I think it makes for kind of an odious reading experience. And that's probably my main issue with the Bible. Other than all the raping. But it's really the onion thin pages.
Number 2 is the super thin pages. It is true that it makes you you don't tear through the Bible because you would literally tear through the Bible.
Tear through the Bible. Yeah, I just think it's kind of a weak read.
Okay. So if somebody ever asks to have one of your books printed on onion skin pages, that's going to be a hell no.
Like I said, I don't care what you do. Buy it. You can do whatever you want after. You want an onion thin page? Buy it. It's $400.
You could write it on an actual onion.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be kind of cool. Stay tuned for Scaachi Koul's next book. Edible onion. And the acknowledgement section is going to be brutal.
Very thin.
Thank you so much for talking to us, and congratulations on the book.
Thanks for having me.
That was writer Scaachi Koul on Open Book. Her latest collection of essays is Sucker Punch, and you can get it at powells.com. Thanks for listening to Open Book. I'm Elena Passarello, your host. Our executive producer is Laura Haddon, and our producer and editor is Melanie Sevchenko. Evan Hoffer is our technical director. Hazik bin Ahmad Farid is our mixer. A. Walker Spring composed our theme song, and Ashley Park is our social media marketer.
A big thanks to the entire staff at Livewire Radio, the fine folks at PRX, and of course, Powell's Books for sponsoring this podcast.